Hello everyone, it's that time of the week again, and I wanted to take a look at the Phalaenopsis Mukalla again, because the spike is now fully open. Look at that! I absolutely love this hybrid. It's sadly no ID. Mukalla is the trade name it was given, and it's just a delight. It has a fragrance now that it did not have over the past couple bloomings, and it smells kind of like sweetened olive oil, like that very like oily olive oil scent. That's really nice, and then like a sweet hint on top of that. And you have to get up near the flower though to smell it, but in the middle of the day it's very apparent and it smells very nice. Take a look at the flower a little bit closer up. Nice spots and white picotee. The plant, the leaves are nice. They've got these nice light come on, camera. There we go. Nice light speckling pattern. But it looks like the plant is starting to get a little unhappy with its media, so I'll have to get it out of there as soon as the blooming finishes and repot it. Probably the same pot, but with fresh media. Because I can tell because the older leaves are starting to go limp, and the newer leaves, which this plant has a habit of growing them limp anyway. I mean, not limp as if like they're dehydrated, but they grow out and then start to droop down. And I think that's because the leaves are so long and thin. But it's grown well. You can see how many leaves it has. It's spiked multiple times in the past. There's 4 spikes just right there that are visible. And this one is I love it. The fragrance that it now has, the reliable blooming, the gorgeous picotee, the light, which is a little bit darker in person, is framed by that nice white picotee on all the parts, and the lip is just this deep purple color with that rich spotting in the back. Very nice presentation as well. This branch got a little wonky while it was growing, but the main spike, all the flowers oriented nicely, and it's just an overall delight. If anybody sees this hybrid in grocery stores, I highly recommend it. It may be a no ID, but it is a no ID I honestly feel is worth keeping, given that I've been moving away from no ID orchids. That having this one has just been a delight. It's one of my most reliable bloomers, and it's actually the first orchid I ever rebloomed. The first Phalaenopsis, I mean. And I just look at that. The presentation is phenomenal. The flower size is pretty good. Oops, there's the camera again. The flower size is very good. This one, I think this one had a little bit of a growing issue because it's not scratched or anything. That's just how it formed. So that's a little upsetting. But the rest of the flowers have good form, good color, good picotee. The picotee's nice and relatively even all the way around. The spotting is nice and even. The lip carries well. It's just a beauty. So the media it was potted in looks like it was a mix of some strips of cocoa husk, a little bit of sphagnum moss, and fine grade orchid bark. And it was potted obviously in this big clear pot. This is a 3.5-inch pot, I believe. And the plant's just grown a bunch of leaves since I had it. There's a few that it had already when I got it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 leaves on this, which is pretty good. And it's, like I said, it looks like it needs to be repotted because it's starting to hate its media, and I think I waited too long, and that's my fault. But the bloom spike has been growing for a while, so I didn't want to disturb it and upset it. What I might do, if it looks like it absolutely needs it, is after the show this weekend, where I take it to just show it off, I'll repot it and just hope the spike doesn't blast, which it probably will, but who knows? These flowers lasted 2.5 months when it bloomed last time, and it had 2 spikes last time. This time it only had 1, but it branched, which marks the first time I've ever gotten a Phalaenopsis to branch. And even it was a small branch, but I'm thinking I might leave the spike intact this time as an experiment, because I know some growers leave the spike intact, and I prefer to cut the spike back all the way to the base like I did with these previous ones, to save the plant some energy and get it to produce a nice full flush next time, rather than having a straggly spike with 1 or 2 blooms, which is what I've always had when I left it. And so yeah, beautiful. beautiful. The flower form is phenomenal, I feel. The sepals kind of curl back just a tad, but not enough to hide themselves. So the presentation is still good. The petals are straight out to the sides. The pinchedness of the petals, like how it pinches at the end right there, is even, except for this one this time. It bloomed fine last time. I don't know what caused that, but yeah, I definitely think this one's worth growing. And because it's in bloom and looking interesting, I might as well show it off. Is this little fella. This is my pyloric, no ID. This was the only reason I got it was because it was pyloric. And look at that, it's so unique. 3 fully formed lips. It has a defunct column though, so I won't be able to use it for anything, even if I wanted to, because it's a hybrid or a no AD. I don't want to. It had a bloom off this bud or this spike too, but it fell off. And this one seems to like blooming sequentially, one at a time. And so this one's open. It'll probably last a while, and then the next bud will start to grow. And I think the next bud's going to come out from here, because this one at the joints, it seems to produce these large leaf-like bracts, as opposed to other Phalaenopsis like this one. The bracts along it are small, or the ones at the base of the flowers, if I can get it to. Yeah, there you go, you can kind of see it. Just these tiny little things. Well, on this one, the bract is much larger. So it's just, this one's not scented, but it's a delight to grow because of the uniqueness. Pylorics are I'm very picky about them. They either have to be extremely pyloric to the point where they produce 3 fully formed lips like this one, or they need to be just subtly pyloric to where you get this small rise in the petals with a little bump in the middle, or ripples to make them look a little bit more interesting. Because there are some pylorics that look like the petals just kind of curl in like this around the column and the lip, and it just looks ugly as hell. But this one, I love the contrast too. The lip form this time isn't nearly as good as I'd hope it would be, but it's still pretty good. This one didn't widen up at the top, but these two did. But it's just such a unique little plant. The plant also grows very weirdly. Like the leaves could just go every which way. And it's got a pile of them for such a small little plant. But yeah, it's the flower. So yeah, that's just a look at the Phalaenopsis Mukalla, an update on like looking at the spike and talking about what my favorite features about it and the newly discovered scent. And then there's the other, I might as well look at the other Phalaenopsis while I'm here. This is the no ID rescue I had that I finally got to bloom. Only produced for 3 flowers, so I'm sad about that. But they're phenomenal in color and form. This one just got ripped trying to open itself, so that was a little upsetting. But I think it's got Stewartiana in it, because Stewartiana has the characteristic dark barring on the bottom, the lateral sepals here. That's characteristic of Stewartiana. This one, I think I mentioned before, I believe has Schilleriana influence. Because Schilleriana imparts the color sometimes, as well as the spots and the lip form. But that's really it in regards to blooms. And then I have the pod that I can update on. Oops, a bit of wet moss got stuck on there. The pod is making progress. Look at that. This is about nearly 2 months in. So this one's taking its sweet time, but it's definitely growing. The thing about Phalaenopsis pods, and you'll see it here if I can get it to focus on it without being too poor, there we go, is some species will keep their petals and sepals and green them up. And I believe, although don't quote me on this, that they do this as an additive to like a little bit of extra photosynthesis going, but I'm not sure. But this hybrid is Phalaenopsis Sogo Manager, which has Amboyensis making up over half its genetic makeup. And Amboyensis, the species Phalaenopsis, actually does this, as well as like Bellina and Violaceae. And so I believe that's what's causing part of the flower to remain. Because if I look at the front of it again, oops, you notice that one of the sepals is missing, one of the petals is half missing, and the lip is gone. They desiccated and came off, whereas these parts greened up and remained. So yeah, that's that. If you guys have any questions about my Phalaenopsis, and just like general questions about orchids in general, please do leave them in the comments below. I love answering questions and responding to comments when I remember to, because I'll be honest, I don't remember to every time. But if you guys grow any interesting Phalaenopsis or hybrids, let me know. Let me know if you know what they're called. You can find me on Facebook as well. I have a Facebook page, Hyperion Greenhouse. You can post there and show me what you got, because I'd love to see. So thank you everyone for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video.